So today in Firefly Kitchen, what we're going to be making is called No Melt Suet. It got tested out in California and supposedly still holds together pretty well in 120-degree temperatures. However, we're looking at meat feeding our wild birds through winter. So I've measured out everything and I'm going to start getting ready to mix everything in the pot. You need to heat your pot to about medium heat. Nothing so it's gonna boil because you definitely don't want lard splattering over your kitchen, but just enough so it will melt the peanut butter and the lard. All right, I am emptying the peanut butter into the pot. Through trial and error, I found that the best way to make this concoction work is actually to start peanut butter first, since it takes a little bit longer for it to heat up to temperature. So put it in and just start letting it warm up and melt. All right, we've had it on heat for about a minute. And as you can see, it's starting to loosen up quite nicely. You really want to get it that nice and gooey peanut butter. Like when you heat up toast and you smear peanut butter on it, you want to have that nice gooey, it's in danger of falling off your toast. So keep turning it and spinning it and stirring it, because the last thing you want is to actually have any of your ingredients burn. Again, the temperature that you use on your stove, it's kind of different for all different stoves. You really truly do not want this ever to come up even to really a simmer. It's just enough to get all your ingredients to get gooey and melt together nicely. All right, next ingredient to get added in is my cup of lard. I actually already have my cup of peanut butter. It's nice and melty in there. So now I'm going to add in my cup of lard so the two of those can start melting together. We obviously would love it if you use Firefly lard. However, you can render your own lard from fatback, which we also have, and it will make a nice light colored lard. It shouldn't stink too much either, not that the birds mind, but if you're hoping to use it for other things, you don't want to end up with that meaty smell in your lard. So mixing the lard in, scooping out my cup, and getting ready for the next stage. Right. I've got my lard in there, and as you can see, it is already melting quite happily. You're just going to want to keep stirring this until all your lard has melted in and combined nicely with your peanut butter. It should be really, really runny, guys, so don't freak out when you see super liquid stuff in your pot. That's exactly how it's going to be. You're going to be adding in lots of other ingredients that will act as thickening agents. So don't worry, just keep stirring, let time do its thing. Your lard should usually melt within a minute to a minute and a half. So happily stir and think happy thoughts. All right, so I've put in about half the flour. This is a cup of flour that's going to get stirred in here. So you can use your spoon or you can use your whisk. I am one of those people that in all perfect worlds, the less stuff I have to clean up after any project, the better. So right now I'm mixing in the first half of flour and trying to get the clumps to go away. They should usually get themselves out, but don't stress. So I'm putting in the last of the flour. And here we go, stirring it in. Next up, I'm adding in some of the oatmeal. This is 2 cups of food processed oatmeal that I am adding in. Birds actually are super excited about oatmeal. When I feed my chickens, they love something called scratch, which is corn and oatmeal and some millet grain that gets put in there. And that is their idea of the absolutely best treat they could have imaginable. So you're adding this in here for your birdies. You put in the rest. This actually nicely goes in much, much better than the flour does. So you're going to stir this in. And as you can see, every ingredient I put in, it starts to thicken a bit. What we have here is cornmeal, which is a cup of cornmeal, and on top you might notice there's some pepper flakes. My husband and I grow spicy peppers all throughout the summer, and one thing we hadn't anticipated with the making of suet this year is that it's not only popular with our birds, it's also incredibly popular for our squirrels. Now, research has been done to show that birds don't typically have a problem with heat. They don't have taste buds quite the same we do. However, squirrels do have taste buds, and then you're not overly fond of spicy things. So this year, in this round, I'm going to be putting in some of our peppers. I just put in 3 peppers and use the food processor. So we'll see if this helps keep the squirrels from raiding our suet cakes as fast as they did earlier. All right, so pouring this in and starting to mix in. As you can see, this is thickening up really nicely now. Good news, everybody. We're almost done. The last thing you need to do is you need to put your suet into some sort of form. I'm lucky that I have a suet cage that is slightly bigger than average, since I'm going to be using freezer safe little containers. Most suet needs to be 4 by 4 inches, no more than 1 inch thick. I'm going to be making slightly less than 1 inch thick so I can put 2 cakes in, and this is more like 5 by 5. So if you have a larger than average cage size, feel free. However, my recommendation is do it for 4 by 4. That means you can put it also on a Pyrex dish and just cut it to the correct shape. Just make sure it's no more than 1 inch thick. Otherwise, you'll have a hard time getting it in. All right, here we go. Pouring it in to the next form. As you can see, it's already starting to cool off. Not nearly as fluid as it had originally been. All right, that recipe made me 3 of these. And like I said, I have the ability to put 2 in, so I will probably be making another batch of this in the not too distant future. But who knows, birds might be finding some of their own food soon. Final step for making suet cakes is I'm going to be putting them in my freezer. Not only does this help the setting up process, it does mean that I can keep the suet for much longer. While this is no melt, I still feel better having it in my freezer, which is why I do it in small batches. Like I said, very quick to do. If I weren't videoing this would probably have taken me a grand total of 5 minutes. So I'm gonna leave these guys in here for about 30 minutes to an hour. Then I'm gonna come back and we'll see what happens from there. Just took it out of the fridge. Looking pretty good. As you can hear, totally solid. All right, so you can see it all nice and solid. Great things about this is you can push it and they pop up pretty easily. So that's nice and loose now on this, and we're gonna go put it out for the birds and let them have their first go at it. So thank you very much for watching our video. If you liked it and you'd like to find out more about Firefly Farms, you can find us on Facebook at Firefly Farms. We're on Instagram at Firefly Farms CT. You can find our website is www.fireflyfarmsllc.com. And if you would like to drop us an email, you can email us at info@fireflyfarmsllc.com. We look forward to talking to you, and thank you very much for joining us today. Have a great one. Bye.